Welcome to KYNDversation, a space for sacred dialogue, honest reflection, and deep listening. I'm your host, KYNDversation. KYNDversation was born from my own inner dialogue, my journey of spirituality through life's unfoldings, questions, and becoming. Along the way, I discovered something essential, that transformation often happens not in isolation, but in conversation. In this podcast, I sit with people from diverse faith traditions, spiritual paths, and lived experiences to explore one central question. What does devotion mean to you? And how does your relationship to the sacred shape your life? My hope is that each conversation becomes a light post for those who feel challenged, disconnected, or searching for belonging. And that through our shared reflection, you might find courage, clarity, and deeper connection to yourself. Wherever you are on your journey, you are welcome here. Welcome to KYNDversation. My name is Kendra, and I am your host, and I am delighted to introduce our next guest for KYNDversation. He is such a wonderful human, and I'm humble and delighted to be able to sit down with him on today. I consider him a brother from another mother. His name is Christopher Williams. He was born in PD region of South Carolina in the historic Sand Ridge community. It's a true country gentleman at heart. He is the owner of Wise Enrichment Group, where he serves as a financial literacy consultant and coach, helping individuals and families build stronger financial foundations. Christopher is also the instructor of Ancestral Veneration 101, a community-centered offering focused on the power of ancestral connection and the importance of remembering who you are through your lineage. Rooted in tradition, Christopher has practiced ancestral veneration his entire life, continuing a legacy passed down through generations of his family who honored their loved ones who came before them. Over the past decade, he has deepened this practice, expanding his understanding and teaching it to others. As a young adult, Christopher's spiritual journey led him to explore religion more deeply, but along the way, he found himself moving beyond religion and embracing more personal and meaningful spiritual path. He has since been initiated into several spiritual traditions, and we're going to get into that, including becoming a priest of Oshun. He's also known as Baba Osundare. Above all, Christopher is a devoted husband and the proud father of 4 amazing children. He believes that ancestral veneration is a powerful key to cultivating healthy relationships with oneself, strengthening families, and uplifting entire communities. Please help me welcome Christopher Williams, also known as Baba Osundare. My brother.
My sister, how you doing? It's the good reverend. I get to sit with the good reverend.
Lord, yeah. I'm sitting with Baba today. How you feeling? How you be?
Hey, I'm feeling great, feeling good, feeling great. Yes.
I love it. It's a gift to sit with you, Baba, because I've been wanting to have a conversation with you for a while. You are from PD County. Yes. In South Carolina. Talk to me about growing up in South Carolina and the ways that you entered into spirituality growing up.
Well, growing up in PD, you know, it's a very, very slow moving place. If you ever went down to Myrtle Beach, you ride right through Conway, South Carolina. If you bust that right there at Walmart, you go down that road. That's where my family is. We down in there. And, you know, growing up, man, you know, I always thought we was the wealthiest people out here in the world. You know, we had some times where, you know, now that I look back at my age now, I'm like, oh man, we was kind of poor. But growing up, I never went without anything. And growing up in that small community, you know, everybody know your mama. Everybody, you know, when you walk into the door, the first thing they ask you is, who your grandma? once you get them that grandma name, they already know who you is, what you built on. You know how is you thorough or not. They know already based off of who you is when you walk in that door and you introduce yourself through your family. So growing up, man, I grew up. My mom and my dad separated when we was young. So I grew up with a mother who really was going processing her truths and the things that she had to deal with the relationship with my father. So seeing that as the oldest in my family, and then seeing also a strong community that supported her, it shaped a lot of who I am, because growing up, I just knew community. I knew my cousins. When we went to school through kindergarten all the way up to I graduate high school, I didn't have many friends because I have a lot of cousins. And in Sandridge community, that's who we were. We stuck together. We looked out for each other. But Conway and the PD, man, it's just the country, red dirt, growing up on the farm, being able to assist, like my papa, them who had, just learning those values and things as a young man, it showed a lot. But in that process of growing up through there, I grew up Baptist, and my papa was a bishop. My family started one of the oldest churches in our area, Cane Branch Missionary, and Cane Branch AME, excuse me. But I grew up in Bethlehem, number 1 Missionary Baptist Church, which those churches combined down the road. And I would say spirituality, or my spiritual journey, started one day. I played the drums. So in my growing up, you either had to play an instrument, you had to sing on the choir, or you had to be an usher.
Okay.
I didn't like standing up too long when I was an usher, and they said I moved too much. Then I tried to sing on the choir. I was all right. I could hold a tune or a note.
I've heard you.
I could hold a note, but I say, I really want to be in touch with what that feeling give you. So I started playing the drums. And my first journey down spirituality and just recognizing spirit of God at a revival. I'm playing the drums. Me and my cousin would travel all throughout PD and we'll play at revivals. He played the keyboard, I play the drums. And this guy prophesies over me, and this guy started saying all this stuff. I'm like, how this man don't know me? I don't know you. How you talk about my business? Right? Like, sir, and he was prophesying like, one day you will, he pretty much said I'll be a preacher and things like that. And we started ministering, and he, how the song music get real slow and the people calling to the altar, and I'm playing the drums, and my cousin was playing. And I did this drum breaking, in the black church, when you hear that doodle in that clock, woo, and the spirit fall down, and I end up seeing like something just moving in the air. And I never forget, I asked my papa, I say, hey, what was that? And he said, that's just the Holy Spirit. I say, but I seen faces. He say, yeah, that sometimes Holy Spirit can appear like that. I say, but they was walking through the back from the door of the church. I say they was just walking in, and I said when they touch somebody, they would start shouting. And he said that's the power of the Holy Ghost. And since then, I've been like, there's more to this than it is. And the excitement of playing the drums, because I knew certain breaks, certain key notes and stuff. If we hit it in the right way, you will see spirit manifest itself. So I don't want to keep going, but yes, that's how I got here.
You taking us there early, and I love it.
I keep me in line now, because I'll get to talking.
Look, we out here. We out here. You have a vision. How old were you when you came into your gift of sight? How old were you at that time?
I had the gift of sight. I can remember probably as young as 7, because growing up, I never liked to sleep towards the doorway, because I always seen things in the doorway. So I always slept facing the wall, because I was like, I don't know who that is staring at me or what that is staring at me, but I don't know what that is. So I always just kept that like, I don't want to look. So I slept, even when I met my wife, she was like, why don't you sleep toward, if somebody come in and rob us, you sleeping facing the wall. She was like, what is that about? I'm like, look, there's some things that I see. And, I just it had to be around 7, because that was the first time my cousin Smurf transitioned, and I had to stay at his mom's house during that week of his transition, and that's when I noticed things in the doorway and things moving quickly. And now I come to understand that maybe Smurf was just moving still, spirit was still moving, and he came to visit his bedroom while I was sleeping and was like, "Who is you?" And I didn't recognize it, but since then I used to always see those, and in church I'd be like, okay, something moving in here. There's a shift changing because the hair starts sticking up. And I just started listening up because a cousin of mine told me one day, because he said, when you play the drums, you're always looking down. Why are you looking down? I say, I want to make sure I keep up the beat. He say, look up and let your eyes see what it is that you're doing. He said, you ministering. So ever since then, when I started looking up, it's just that you just seeing spirit just fall. And it was just a magnificent thing. And then I ain't want people to really know, like, hey, homeboy, like I just seen spirits, I used to keep it real quiet. But yeah, I would say about 7, around that age. I really can remember that story of Smurf transitioning and staying in his room and first seeing it.
Wow, 7 years old. I feel like with some of my spiritual gifts, they started that early too. I used to have to fight spirits a lot when I was younger.
You remember what they call the hags or something, like when you're growing up, you're sleeping, you have those hags. Yeah, that's the same.
And I'm talking about suffocation type, like pleading Jesus. And that's the only name I knew to call.
Yes.
And there are people listening who are going to listen to this, who are resonating with having gifts of sight. And they don't know, they're unclear about why they're seeing things, what it's for. Talk to me about how you began to embrace your gift.
Wow, embracing it. I didn't really truly embrace the gift until I really moved away from home and I had my own family, and I'm working with this guy at a Citibank here in Charlotte when I first moved to Charlotte, and he was saying about, brother, you don't know yourself. I'm like, I know myself. What you mean, brother? Like, I know I'm the son of God and I'm going in because, he was going in on me. He was like, you don't know yourself. I was like, brother, I know who I am. And, we going back and forth. We argued every day. And he gave me Dr. John Henry Clarke DVD, A Long Mighty Walk. He said, watch this. And from Dr. John Henry Clarke, I was introduced to Bobby Hemmett, another brother from PD. And he was speaking about spirits and the spiritual realm and music, and how music can connect you through us as a people. Music is a connection to us to get to that. And I said, oh man, I played the drums growing up, and I was like, I have this thing about music. It's just when I feel it, I know something's happening. And then I started really like, okay, I just learned about meditation because I didn't know anything about meditation. I didn't know what that was. So I started doing meditation, and then from meditation, it just started growing to where it started reflecting and building and showing itself more and more and more.
Wow, that I really love your acceptance of what this gentleman was sharing with you, even though it was activating in some ways.
Yeah, because brother had me hot now. I was hot now because I'm like, yo, I don't know who this brother is, but I'm gonna have to come see about you because you keep messing with me. Like, I know who I am, because I really, in the back of my mind, I already was battling because I had my son young. So I already was battling with these issues that, oh man, I ran track. I always wanted to be an Olympic runner, and I had the opportunity, I was really good. And it's just like, when that brother met me, he was like, who you are? I was already battling with triggers already because I felt that, man, I didn't accomplish nothing. Like, man, I let my family down, my mama down, or especially like my papa, because I'm like, it was his push me growing up to, excel. So when I end up breaking free from the home and just having freedom and had this child early, a lot of things in my mind and stuff, I felt defeated in a lot. So when I met that brother, he triggered me a whole lot. And you know, it was more so I was angry, but at the same time, it was another part of me that was like, hear what he has to say. Because I seen also through my journey of what that brings as well when, you know, in the church when you have children young and things like that, how an outcast or things can be
Yeah.
showed or you know how you can things can be said. You heard as a young man, you know, you hear little things, you hear little chatter, or things come to you and it can be discouraging. So I already was on the fence about things because I'm like, God, this, you know, this is my home. Like I grew up around these folk, like what going on? Like, you know, so you know, it triggered a lot.
Okay. Yeah. That, I mean, this is for anyone listening. I think this is a message. What is your trigger might be your key to transformation. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
That I say it is.
So you are have these gifts at 7 years old. You grow up Baptist, you're a musician, you start to understand how frequency works, how vibration works, how that calls spirit. You move from PD County to Charlotte, you have an encounter that takes you deeper into your sight through meditation as a pathway. Talk to me through that process. Talk to me about how your relationship with God might be shifting or I'm just perceiving that it might be shifting or changing given your trajectory right now. What was your relationship with God like growing up and how has it shifted throughout the years?
My relationship at that time with God was very shaky because one, I moved away from home, so I wasn't held accountable on, you know, make sure you go to church today. Like, you know, make sure you do this. Did you read the daily bread? Are you, you know, you doing your studies and doing that? I didn't have no one in my ear speaking those things. So it was a little shaky because it, like I said previously, is I was a little broken at the fact that when I had this child young and just the way that things was happening, I was like, that ain't God. And I witnessed my mom go through a process in her life where she denounced the church altogether based off of how the church had dealt with her. So now here it is. I am another descendant of this whole thing. I'm going through the same thing. I'm like, okay, what is really happening? Like, okay, it's happening again. And I was kind of like, I don't know who God is. Like, because here it is. I got this young child. I'm moving. I'm trying to do things the right way and things just happening and it's not working and it be good and it's not good. And I'm like, all right, God, like, God, dog, is you punishing me? Like, what is really happening? Like, I'm doing what you want me to do. Like, okay, I found me a church home. All right, I'm going to the church. I'm doing all these type of things. I'm back in the daily bread. It was still again, things were just happening back and forth. And I never forget, I called my grandma and I asked her, I say, what do God sound like? And my grandma said, well, Chris, I don't know what you I don't know what you want me to say. You know, he sound like God. I say, well, yeah, but what do that sound like, Grandma? I was like, I want to know, like, is he talking to me? Because I need to know what is that sound? Because maybe I ain't hearing him. Like, you know, or maybe he talking to me and I'm not recognizing like what that sound like. She said, you know, you got to have a relationship for yourself to know what he sound like. And I'm like, okay, all right. Well, thank you, Grandma. And she was like, well, why you ask? And I was like, I'm just going through a lot. And, you know, she was like, well, let me pray for you. I was like, I don't know if praying gonna work, Grandma. I've been praying all this time. And from going through that, then meeting that brother from my job, he started pouring into me a little bit more. He was like, you know, here's some more information that I want you to look into. And I'm like, all right. And he was like, man, just learn more about yourself. And I'm like, I don't know what more I need to learn about myself. Like, what else? He was like, you know, who are you? He kept asking me every day. He say, who are you, Mr. Williams? And I'd be like, okay, like, go on, dude. But through that discovery and self-discovery is when I really started seeing that, okay, through this meditation, all right, I'm fasting now. You know, I'm learning about these different cycles and things like this, the solstice. So I did this fast one year during the winter solstice where I didn't eat nothing but just drank liquids for 3 days. And I finally heard God. And I never forget, I cried so hard. on the last third day of that whole solstice, and I cried, and I was playing J Electronica, In Tune with Time, and this sister voice, it's the music for me. And how she was singing it took me back to when I was a child in church, because we had the hard wooden floors, because we didn't get a drum set till later on down the road. And the mothers would be doing that doom, doom, and they be and that sister, when she was doing, I'm getting chills now. And that sister she was singing that song, and it was saying, I will get better in time with the infinite. And that just kept ringing, and I heard him loud as day and just said, you doing all right. Whoa. I called my grandma. I said, I heard him. I said, but he only said one line, one sentence, grandma. She said, sometimes that's all it takes. And I say, man. And ever since then, I was like, I need to feel that again. And I've been on that journey of trying to feel that again ever since. Is how do I align myself so much with God to just hear that you're doing okay? That's all I needed, because that was enough for me at the moment. It's let me align so much to the point that I get that check off that I'm doing it.
That's beautiful. You all right.
You all right. Yeah.
I love the ways that the diverse ways God speaks. And I remember my first time really hearing clearly as well, because I was also in a season of my life in my early 20s where I was feeling outside of the boundaries of connection. And it wasn't because I wasn't doing the right things. Right. It was because I was contending with all the things around me that I had, at least from my experience, all the things around me that I had heard that were misaligned with how my relationship with God needed to be. I was relying on other people's interpretation of who God was instead of having this direct experience with God. Even though my grandfather would always say, you have to know that you know that you know.
You got to know that.
Look, now, the older you get, the more you understand the sayings, Chris. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. I know exactly, because those same exact words were said to me. That's why I can. Those same exact words is you got to know you got to know for yourself. Like that was one of the things, because it's like, you want to be. For me, it always been, I gotta make my family proud. I love where I'm from. I love my community. And so I didn't want to do things outside the line of what I was taught, because we grew up, my family was, when you go out, know who you is. So, because it'll get back to us. Yeah. So when we go out into the world, it was like, oh man, I don't want to be out there, because then they're gonna go, and then I don't want my grandma to be looking bad. I don't want my mama, my daddy looking bad. Like I know, we some known people from where I'm from. Like I don't want to put nothing bad on the name, but once I said, man, bump that, I got to do this for me, because that ain't working for me. It ain't working. It ain't working. Once I did that, I think that's when he said, you do it, you all right. Because it's like that, you all right was stay right there.
Yeah. Keep
going wherever you searching. Keep following that path. Keep the crumbs has been laid out. Just keep following them. I think that what that was. It was that was like, okay, he reassuring that what I'm thinking, what I thought is okay with how I need to go forward.
I love that. And I don't want to miss either you naming that some of what you were contending with was having a child at an early age. And the church can be a place of deep shaming, particularly if you have a theology that's ascribed to biblical literalism. And you feel like you have to get it right for God. Even though it says, come as you are, God accepts us fully as who we are. We are all made in the image and likeness of God. But that's sometimes missed when people perceive or judge us in particular ways. And so I am so grateful that you met this gentleman who encouraged you to get on this path, because it really, for me, brings to mind or colors the scripture in a new way for me. Faith without works is dead. Oftentimes when we think about works, we think about the things we need to do to get into heaven or the things we need to do to make it right. But really, the work is understanding yourself.
Yes.
That's the real work, remembering who you are.
That's the work.
Just
Yes.
like you said, when people say you got to know who you is.
Who you is. Yeah.
Look.
Yeah.
So in doing your work, in remembering, Baba, talk to me about this practice of ancestral veneration that's been passed down from lineage to lineage and from generation to generation in your family.
Yeah. Well, ancestor veneration, I didn't know it as ancestor veneration growing up. I didn't know that was a thing until I heard the word reverence your ancestors. But growing up, we had a family cemetery. All our loved ones are buried there. Every Saturday growing up, you had to get up Saturday morning, go out there and help them clean, cut the grass, clean the grave, and do all those type of things. At family reunions, there was always a table set up with our loved ones who transitioned, because we did family reunions heavily in my family growing up, because we're a really, really huge family. And, at church, you go down our church right now in the fellowship hall, all the past preachers' pictures are in the fellowship hall. So we always was giving reverence and acknowledging them. And it was always a thing of, this grandma such and such land, they got this land, or such and such built this first store. Did you know that such was the first sheriff of this whole Horry County and these type of things? And so by doing that, I'm like, wow, I've been doing this all my life. Like calling spirit, like ancestors veneration, they say, call down spirit. I'm thinking of the deaconesses and hymn books. Deacon used to get on his knee at the beginning of the first church. He say, look, Father, I stretch my hand, thee no other help I know. We come to you for this devotion on this day. They was already calling down, or in our practice, invocation, doing a mojuba, giving thanks. These things was already happening. And I'm like, I've been spiritually tapped in since youth, but I didn't know that's what that was. So I had a friend, and my ancestors work so coolly because it's through people. And my wife will tell you, she said, you don't meet a stranger, because I don't have a problem talking with nobody. And we're in Charlotte, I'm like, the brother, you say, hey, come check out this lecture. I want you to come check out this lecture. Go to the lecture. It's Professor James Smalls, and he's speaking on it and ancestor veneration. And then I met this brother at the school, and my children started going to the school because it was, all about the liberation of the minds of the children and stuff. So we started taking our children there and learning. And the brother said, hey, I'm going to an ancestor festival. You want to ride? And at the time, money was tight. I was like, I ain't really got it like that. I was like, he was like, look, you don't need no money. He was like, you don't need a place to stay. If you can get a tent, you can camp out on the land. I'm like, I'm from the country. Get a tent. That's nothing. I can do that. Yeah. I'll ride with you. Okay. Got my tent. Went down there, and the moment I heard them drums and seen what they call the masquerade, and the masquerade is pretty much the agon is the cloth of the ancestors. And in this cloth, there's someone in possession who is channeling that energy of whichever ancestor that is. And he ran it came running to me fast, and I'm like, I'm running backwards, like, hey, get this thing, like, what's going on? And they say, just kneel. So I kneel before it, and it started speaking. And this person was saying, you're late. It was saying, you should have been doing this. And I'm like, huh? And it was like the elder came up to me. He was like, see me before you leave. So I went and saw him. He said, get a reading. He said, I think you should get a reading. I said, okay, I'm open to it. I don't know what that consists of, but hey, I'm here. Why not? And I got a reading, and it was talking about honor your ancestors on a new level. And I was like, okay. And it was like, why didn't you start this in your 20s? I was like, sir, thank you, but I don't even know what this is. I'm just here because my homeboy said, would you like to ride? And I want to ride and see what this is about. Like, so sir, thank you, but I don't know what this is. I'm just being obedient. And the brother said, come and learn. I want to learn, And right then he say, bring us some offering. At that time, we normally give offerings, and it was dark colored fruits. He said, just give this to the ancestors. And I gave that. And I never forget, that was in November.
Mm.
January, I was doing the ceremony to receive what we call the ancestral pot. It's just a place where you come to meditate, give prayers, offerings, and insight and things. And soon as they finished doing that, I went downstairs because I needed a coconut. So I was running to Harris Teeter, and I jumped in my truck and I looked in my passenger seat and I said, oh my gosh, Uncle Jug. And my Uncle Jug was clear as day as I see you right now.
Mm.
I jumped out my truck and ran upstairs. I said, hey, my Uncle Jug was just in my passenger seat. Y'all, I don't know what this is. And the guy said, is that the James guy? I said, yeah, James LaFranc. He said, yeah. He said, that's going to be one of the ancestors that always see you through any situation and problems. And he revealed himself to you to show you that he's, pretty much that what we did here tonight, he recognizes what you did. And I thought about that first reading that Baba said, take your ancestors to new heights. And I thought about that and I said, oh my gosh, I'm doing it. And since then it's been overseas.
You done said a lot, Chris.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your curiosity to go and follow as the saints would say in the church I grew up in, the unctioning of your spirit.
Yeah.
Look, it opened up a whole new world for me.
A whole new world.
Now, there are so many people who are confused about ancestor veneration, in terms of believing that it is worship. As I've come to learn it, as you have taught me, it is honoring. Yes. Talk to me about the distinctions between ancestral veneration and ancestral worship.
Yes. So ancestor worship, to give worship to something is to you pretty much saying, for instance, I would use my Uncle Jug, for me to worship him is putting him before myself. Is as a way that he receives all the glory. He receives all these type of accolades and things outside of myself. Mm-hmm. Where I am venerating and saying pretty much that I recognize who you were in your walks, what you did, and what those things, and I honor the works that you did. But in venerating and honoring those things, it allows me to awaken and remembering what I can do as a human being, the capabilities, the qualities, and things that I can manifest out of myself too. Because in ancestor veneration, many of us, we try to say, I ain't trying to do that because, that's that demonic stuff, but it's not demonic, because my wife and I was just talking with her, and a friend was talking 2 nights ago, and they were speaking about the matriarch. And they were saying how the woman, when a young lady is in her mother, she has the eggs of her grandmother or great grandmother, something like that. And it was saying that it's just passing down. And I said, wow, I didn't know that. They was like, yeah, it's the woman already has her mother's already embedded in her. And I'm like, that's ancestor veneration too. They was like, yeah, it's the same thing. They was like, but the matriarchs carry that wisdom for many, many generations. And I was like, so
wow.
If you have that happening inside of you, what does that mean? And they look at me like, oh, don't get started. I'm like, but what does that mean? It means that you can tap in to that knowledge, that wisdom, that pain, that hurt, whatever that happened with those mothers many moons ago. You can tap into that and you can express it, you can heal it, or you can use it to what it is that you're trying to bring forth into your reality. So veneration is that I have the capability to call forth that junk DNA that the science calls it today, and I can waken that up and I can remember things about who I am supposed to be, because energy doesn't die, it can only be transferred. So when we leave this place and we leave this plane, that energy has to move. And that energy sometimes move through most of the time, most time, all of the time when somebody transition in our families, somebody is pregnant. The energy has to move and go somewhere. So when we start having these children, and we start recognizing these different symptoms, ADHD, they angry or they have these things, there is showing you that down our lineage, our bloodline, there is something happening that we must recognize and heal. And that child or that energy is manifesting itself again on this reality. I hope I answered that clearly and good.
You answered it clearly, succinctly. Thank you. Because it's powerful when colonization does its work to make people in the African diaspora, particularly who have been socialized in traditional Christianity, to believe that something that is meant to heal generations past and generations to come and generations present is demonic. So thank you for clarifying the distinction between ancestral worship and ancestral veneration. So I want to go back to the story because it's so good and it was so much in the story. So you are experiencing this masquerade. The person who is channeling is rushing up to you. There's some fear there. You get introduced to a reading. And as we know it in Yoruba culture, divination is a part of being on the offensive instead of on the defensive. It is a way of connecting with spirit to inform you of the things that you need to be doing to really get in alignment with your highest destiny when it comes to the Yoruba tradition, as I understand it.
Correct. So yes.
How did you get beyond the fear?
My foundation was strong spiritually, so I wasn't fearful of it. Because I grew up with some praying people. I done had a teenage. My youth I was hard-headed. So I woke up many nights or many mornings with oil on my forehead because they done prayed over me because I done did something the day before. So I already know that, if this is something that's I shouldn't be doing, it don't got no control over what I'm gonna do when I leave here because I understand I'm covered. I always, and man, that was a great question because especially where I'm at today is that I never truly fear because I always had in the back of my mind that, well, if this ain't what it's supposed to be, I can always go back. And what grandma them used to pray for, what they used to do, all that little stuff, washing of my feet and all that stuff. Like wherever I walk on this earth, I know it's blessed and anointed. So I'm good. So that's how I looked at it. I really didn't fear it. It was like, okay, I'm gonna respect it because I understand that it's more things out here in this world. You know what I'm saying? The guy asked me to come. I must be respectful. If something I got to bow, I'm a bow, and I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna take it in. And if you say get a reading, hey, okay, say less. I'm at this event. If that's what requires based off of what spirit is telling you in this realm of what we're doing now, I'm gonna be obedient and I'm gonna follow through with it because that curiosity was still there. Because again, I am still searching for something outside because what I was learning, what I was doing didn't feed me enough. It truly wasn't feeding me enough. And I would read the Bible, go through the Bible, learn all these type of things, but it wasn't feeding me enough. And I'm like, what is that? And I think the curiosity was that part of them just saying, come on, reach, like go a little more deeper, like keep following, like, go out there and be in the wilderness, because this was a pastor I had growing up in my youth, Pastor Hamilton, and he was one of the best pastors when it comes for youth, for pastor in general. But I think I was a youth at the time, and how he really taught it to us. And he will always share the Bible in these stories that we can be relatable to a situation that may be happening in our community. And I think by him teaching and showing me that and how to view the world biblically by seeing the world, being in the world, being of the world, I was able to relate more. And so being in that setting at that time, I was able to just be like, okay, bow. If this is something that ain't supposed to be, I'm sure God will be move it and stop it, whatever may be. But I don't think I was ever fearful of it. It just was, why you here, Baba? Or at the time, Chris, like, you really, bro, you be doing some wild stuff, like you here, so you do follow suit, like. But I don't think I feared it. And I'm hearing right now just because you wasn't taught to fear anything. Because again, I grew up in the country, in the South. We still have the first lynching tree in our downtown. They built a road around it. So growing up, fear what? Like, my family made sure that you stand on who you is. Don't let nothing move you or make you unshakable. Like, you stand firm on whatever it is. Don't that you can't fear nothing. But my mom and my grandma, this was what we was taught. Like, you fear these women here. But outside of that, I didn't, I don't think it was no fear there. It just was curiosity to learn more about what this is.
What you have named resonates with me deeply, because there is a way that you, to a certain degree, I'm remembering what I read in your bio, you have had a relationship that has informed your religion, but the relationship with God has been priority, which is how I resonate with God too. When it comes to, you get this reading, you give the offering, you see, is it Uncle June or
Uncle Jug?
Uncle Jug. You see Uncle Jug. Talk to me about what happens from there. And I know this is a wide open question.
Yeah. Oh man. So listen. So this week of us doing these ceremonies, it was a community of us. Because when I went there in November.
Now, is this like a elay? Is it?
No, it wasn't no elay. This was just my homie, his wife, and just other people. I went there and it touched me so in November that when I came back, I said, hey, in December, they doing something called a wand, where you're cleansing yourself for the year and refreshing yourself for the new year. I said, my family going, y'all need to come along too. And from that December to January, hey, I've been instructed to do this thing. It says I need to honor my ancestors. I'm going to go ahead and do the concentration, resurrecting or concentration of my ancestor shrine. If y'all open to it, by all means, they're coming and we're going to do this ceremony. My wife was like, I'm good. I'm all right. I don't know what this is. You can do it, but I don't want no parts of it. Okay, cool. But she said, I'll be there to support you. All right. Thank you. And Autumn was like, yeah, bro, we want to do it too. So this was a week-long ceremony. All these different families, households, couples and all, children, we got families, all this. We all consecrating and elevate ancestors on this week. We had at the end of this week, we had Oshun Bembe. And for the ones who may not know, a Bembe is a celebration of drumming to the Orisha, and the Orishas are forces of nature, or different aspects of God through nature, the river, the mountain, lightning, the wind, nature. Pretty much, you're honoring the aspects of God. And we had this Oshun Bembe, and we drumming. And that morning I woke up, I was just sick on my stomach, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. But we had to go help and set it up. So I help set up. And the whole time, my stomach, I feel lightheaded. And I'm like, but I'm not missing this Bembe. I never been to one before. I hear a lot of great things about it. I want to be in the number. And we go and they say, hey, we need somebody to play the shekere. And the shekere, I'm like, I play the drums in church. I can do it for you if y'all need somebody. It was like, yeah, play it. So I'm up there shaking, and I'm in it too. I'm like, I got this thing. I'm, the drumming going, and I felt like I had to throw up. And I'm like, oh, I don't know what this is. So I passed it to the brother. I was like, I don't feel well. I go to the back, and Mama Africa, this lady travels all around, and she sells food and drink, and she has this thing called the juju juice. And she say, Baba, and she's dancing. She said, hey, who you gonna give it to? Oshun or Shango? And she go, and I'm dancing, and I'm looking like, what? She say, drink this. And I drank the drink, and I'm like, oh, Shawty was like, don't give them no more, ma'am. We don't know what's going on. So I said, y'all go ahead and enjoy it. I just sit back in the back. And she said, who you gonna give it to? And her like a Jamaican voice. And I was like, okay. So my wife and the rest of the crew, they went up there and they celebrate. And my wife runs back. She said, oh my gosh, come look. They say the young lady's in possession of Oshun. So she grabs the chair. My wife grabs it. She said, just sit up close. And soon, all I remember is when they got done, people was doba laying to me. And doba laying is just, saluting you or just laying to the ground and just giving honor. And I'm like, what happened from the time you got me from the back of the thing? And the brother was like, brother, you was in possession. And the Baba said, I knew it. The Baba that said, before you leave, come see me. He came to me, said in his voice, I never forget it. He said, I knew you was one of those ones. That's how he talked. Oh my gosh. I miss Yes, Ibara Tarun Baba Lomide. And he said, you know what this means from here? He said, you got a real calling on your life. And right then, I'm still my heart beating fast because I don't know what happened. I'm blanked out. I don't just remember my wife grabbing my hand. I don't remember no more in between that. And it gave me that same feeling of when I was on the drums and I felt spirit for the first time. And I said, wait, what I'm feeling, the energy that's coming down over me right now is what I felt when I was younger. And right then I said again, I just met God again. Because it was familiar. And I said, dang, I met God again. And my wife crying, my children crying. I'm like, oh my gosh. And these people, like, they honoring you because, in church possession, all I know was, why ain't no white sheet over me? Like, like, why nobody? But it was possession to them was a way of them to say God transcended on earth. And to see that manifest with our eyes, we must, give reverence. We must honor. We must give, thanks to the power of what can happen in a moment when we all unison and in sync. And when I was sharing with the Baba about how I felt, he said, Spirit already knew you was going to be the one that was going to mount that when you woke up that morning. You was working and dealing with it the whole time. Fast forward, the mama said, who are you going to give it to? Oshun or Shango? Here it is now. I'm a priest of Oshun. So Oshun at the Bimbe already said, give me him. that mine. That's that here.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gonna be one that's gonna represent me well. And right then it's just, favor. I really truly just feel it as favor. Because when I first came into this journey, man, I used to talk cold trash to the church because there was hurt.
Yeah.
It was trauma I still was dealing with. So the only way I knew how to do it was to talk down on, I'm doing this over here now. I learned that church ain't this and y'all ain't that and y'all do this. It was a way for me to truly express it out loud because of all that I already been manifesting, because I'm thinking, that's the right way to be. But it brought me back to now that, okay, here it is in my journey. You was knocking it, but that was the same exact thing that got you where you at in this journey right here today.
Yeah.
That hymn book, the mothers talking,
Was your
because
hymn book red? Was your hymn book red?
my hymn book was red and I got the little small black one.
Come on now.
You
Come
know,
on now.
you those things, the mothers honoring the elders, all those type of things. I look at the culture and what we do now in the system. I'm like, I doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
How I call out to it is just manifested in a different way. And it's the way of my ancestors say, take us to new levels. Is that what my family did prior, that worked for then. But where we going to go as a lineage going forward, maybe it may not be, I may not touch my whole family, but my children, their children will be able to express and show God into this world in new ways that when they meet somebody like I met them, may be able to give them that same experience.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I've been looking at it ever since. I don't know. You know, it's just this thing is something. It's just. Whew, I don't want to take up on talking all. Go ahead, because
No, it is good. As we say, you talking good. Go ahead.
Because it's. I think as spiritual people, you know, in today's time where there's a lot of things where it's don't do this, don't do that, you doing this, you doing that. I think if we really remove ego and truly call this what it truly is, we'll be better off as a whole nation.
Mm-hmm.
Because especially in our community, if we really, if you say you do what you say what you do, then it go back to when I said I didn't really fear nothing because I already understood my feet. You know, we did not growing up, my papa in church was holiness. So when I would go to his church on first Sunday, you did communion and you washed the feet.
Mm-hmm.
And the elders will wash your feet.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't fearful of nothing because I understood my foundation was already strong.
It's good.
So if we know foundation is strong, regardless of who you meet in this walk, in this journey, whatever, regardless what they do, you should all be able to meet on a common ground that I know God for how I see God and how you see God. I can see how God will recognize. I can see that because if we know God,
yes,
then we can connect on that. And I kind of think that's why, you know, in the ancestral veneration class, why I say, man, bunk that. Anybody can come into this class. I don't care if you're a Muslim, Christian, whatever you practice, whatever it is, come in because we all have something in common, ancestors. Mm-hmm. And through that, we can all learn something from each other based off of ancestors and how we show up in the world. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
Oh, that is so good. I'm just everything that you shared. I'm glad that you talked about the possession because oftentimes I think people are socialized to think about possession in the way of being possessed by demons. We don't ever think of being possessed by spirit, by characteristics of God, as you named the Orisha. And for me, I have not feared either. And my journey, I was introduced, as you know, to Yeye Fini Efumbalade Yalode at 14. And so there was a seed planted, and I continued to dabble here and there just with wanting to research. And I always used to say, I don't want to go down this pathway because I don't want to do X, Y, and Z. Because there's a way in which it is set apart for those who practice African-derived religions. You know who practices African-derived religions, based on certain initiations that we go through. And for me, receiving my hand of Ifa, and I think in 2021, has continued to slow walk me into my highest destiny. And so I'm grateful for the work that you do. I've benefited from your ancestor veneration class one-on-one. And like you said, big work, big ancestors.
Big ancestors, big work. That's it. That's it. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Because it's, you know, My grandma, you know, your grandma and them had that picture where the footprints in the sand.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
How you
Yeah.
want to leave your footprints in the sand?
Mm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's how I always ask. How do I want to leave my footprints in the sand? Because I understand that Jesus was a revolutionary
Mm-hmm.
in his approach, and I don't want to go on down the line, but I truly think that the the hanging of the cross was just because he went against what the
Absolutely.
world was saying that he should do. Is that I need to take
That's what
this
I
walk in
believe.
my journey my way, and if it caused me to be sacrificed in this type of way, so be it.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of if I have to walk this thing, because I mean, in this life, in this journey, it ain't been shook sweet all the time now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've had the whole don't talk to him because he do that stuff over there.
Yeah.
Don't play with his children because they tell them what they got, they be doing that crazy stuff. I've had this, and now I'm 40, and I look back and I'm like, I'm walking with my footprints in the sand.
Mm.
And the crucifixion of me having to die, kill
That's
my
good.
older self to now be able to see the good in everything in life that's happened.
Mm-hmm.
Because we look at that, oh, that's happening to me again. Well, no, why is it happening to me again? What do I need to learn from this at this present moment? It's the
Mm-hmm.
shifting and the changing of the mind and how we see, because God ain't gonna put no more on you than you can bear. So if
That's
he giving this to me, then he understand that I got all the power that I can come through this. So what's
mm-hmm.
the lesson you're trying to teach me at this moment, God? Ancestors, what is this? Help me, show me, align me with what it is that I need to know that I can get connection better to God.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's whew. My ancestors, I know it's them that got to be leaning me to this, because it's been times where I've said, ancestors, this ain't making no sense. And then God manifests in such a way, and I'm like, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Did y'all make that phone call for me over there on the other realm? Like, because this is it hitting different. If that makes sense. Like it's
Yes.
you said frequency. There's a frequency that
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Talk to me about it. Talk to me about the frequency, Baba.
The frequency is, if I know when my grandma needed something in her life, or times was going wrong, and my grandma would get, and she would say, and she'd get to singing, and she may just be making a pan of biscuits. The frequency of that is, at that time, the energy of her humming and singing a song, walking in her house, meditating on what is the issue and the problem, but knowing that God already worked it out. That her doing them biscuits and pressing and doing this is the way of her expression of her saying God is working it out.
Yeah.
I got to express this through something. I only know I can do it through cooking. So let me express how God working this thing out for me. Let me put it in this oven, and when it come out, it's gonna be well. It's gonna be good.
Mm.
That's the frequency. Is that when I need her, I'm gonna say, you know what, Auntie So-so, what's the recipe to cook them biscuits like Grandma used to cook? Oh, the recipe is A, B, C, B, D, D, and you need to do this. Make sure you pound it well. I got you. I'm gonna put on some songs, or I might just hum. I might not be humming 2 words of a song, but just and I'm gonna be making them biscuits because I'm connected to the frequency of how you fix your issue, Grandma. I need you to come into my life right now and align me with the purpose where God can fix it for me at this moment. That's the frequency.
Good.
That's the frequency. I think we all have that as a people.
Yeah.
Is that if we just tapped in and not be so scared of Big Mama, but learn from what Big Mama showed us. Because I don't know about y'all, my family, they didn't talk much about things like that. They did more of showing you.
Yeah.
didn't say, hey, you need to pay attention to what I'm doing right here.
Mm-hmm.
You knew when things was happening in the room, you knew I need to pay attention. They
Yeah.
ain't had to tell you pay attention. You knew, oh, something is happening right here. If
Mm.
my grandma knew somebody needed prayer, if she closed herself in that closet and
Hmm.
went to praying, and when she came back out and she crying and she cheerful and she joyful and she just a clapping and doing that, oh, okay. So I need to be in a place of silence. I need to be in a place of where I could just be to myself. Maybe be in a room of darkness. That way I can see the light of what I need to see.
Mm.
See one of them myself. And then through that, whatever manifests out of the darkness, celebrate in it. Like that's I think that's the more the older I get, I'm like, man, there's no difference in what I'm doing before and what I'm doing today. It's just how it's done is a little bit different, but the calling and the frequency of what I'm trying to obtain in life and go through and manifest in life is it's the same.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
start putting names on what it is that I do. I'm honoring God. Like it ain't, you know, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I
Mm-hmm.
say more food. Thank you.
Ashe. No, life and progress to you and the legacy that you come through. You have named so many key things. The first thing that's resonating with me is this idea of frequency as you do the work of calling spirit and how frequency vibrates and those vibrations expand. Oftentimes, when people think about ancestral veneration who are not in this tradition, some people may perceive that we just do it for ourselves. But the work of ancestral generation is for generations behind us and generations to come and generations present.
Yes.
And when it comes to your experience in not just this tradition, but you are, from reading your bio, initiated into multiple traditions.
Yes.
What traditions are you initiated in?
So the very first one that I was initiated into is called the Egungun Society or Egbe Egungun. And the Egbe Egungun is a society of priests who do the working of ancestors and ancestor veneration. And that includes, you know, when I spoke of the masquerade Agan parading or going through these different channels to share these ancestors to the individual, the loved ones through the cloth, uh, those type of workings, misas where things where you are medium. A lot of Egungun priests are seers where you see, you're able to share messages for those loved ones. Funeral rites, there's funeral rites that go through when somebody leaves this earth. There's certain protocols and things that has to be done to the body and for the spirit to make that elevation and transition. So that was the very first one that I was introduced into or initiated into.
Mm-hmm.
uh and then from there, I was then initiated into what they call Palo Mayambe. Uh, and through that is still dealing with uh, the spirit and such, and working with the spirit, the table of light, misas where you give messages through a table. And this table may just be a glass of water and a candlelight, but you passing the messages of a loved one through connecting to that spirit. And it details other things. And then Oshun is the last recent one that I was initiated to. And that's the secrets of Oshun, the Orisha of the river, fresh water. She's the energy of creativity, motherhood, love, just the beauty of life, the reflection of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm learning more about Oshun is that she is the one who allows you to see what you have the potential to become, and then she gives you the push to become what you can see to obtain that potential.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the ones that I'm initiated into.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for naming the three:
Yeah,
Egungun, Oshun, and Palo.
Apollo, yes.
Mm-hmm. Now, when it comes to, gosh, I wish we had longer because I could talk to you for another hour and a half. I want to go back to something you said about your experience of just navigating this tradition with family members who were not in alignment with where you were, who perceived you to be doing something outside of the bounds of God. They probably even thought that you might have been disconnected from God. Because I have a slightly similar experience. And I'm also wondering about the other part. When we think about, there is a way in which some people who come from church tradition and transition into African derived religious systems will denigrate the church. Like the church has all these problems, right? And I have discovered that every faith practice has its own set of challenges that arise just because we are human. As you have navigated all these different communities and initiations, how have you been in discernment about the Elays that you belong to? What have been your experience? And when I say Elay, for those that are not familiar with this tradition, I'm just naming the community that you've been a part of.
Yes. So, woo, sister, listen. You know,
talk about it.
There's a thing when spirits say, listen with your ear, or you be bound to doom for failure, or you be bound to do to be hurt, because you will repeat cycles if you don't really truly listen. There's a season for everything. And I'm a very loyal person. If you meet me, I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm loyal. And my first journey into this, as I started into this culture and I started learning, and I was initiated to the Gungun Society and these type of things was going, Spirit was telling me, okay, it's up. They showed you what you needed to know. Because things started showing out for me. Like I started recognizing, I was like, nah, I don't get down with that. Like, nah. Morally, I don't do that. No disrespect to you, but I don't do that. But that was a spiritual journey that I was like, I must stay on this journey. I got to learn much as I need to learn because I've done opened this door to this thing. I need to know more. The curiosity thing was trying to overfeed that, the spirit of saying, you need to go ahead and move on now. But I didn't want to listen. And it took one moment where I got burned. When I say burned, I got 2nd-degree burns. And it was a festival happening. And I never forget, I told you at the beginning that I was able to see movement and spirits of just moving through people and just moving. And we doing this festival, and as us being the ancestral priest, we was the head, or the ones that was the originate, the organizers of this. So, we was the facilitators of this. And this one individual that came on the land, I seen her, and I said, hey, that one got to go. Like, that's coming with something different, because the ancestors told us when people come in, everybody has to clean off. But even in the midst of her cleaning off, there was just still something that was riding on this young lady. And I'm sharing this to him, and at the time they was like, oh, no, it's all good, it's all good. And my ancestors say, see? And they talking to me the whole time, and the whole time I'm like, this is a festival, ancestors. Just let me enjoy the festival. I see it. At the end of the festival, my wife said, warning number 2. I think you and Chris, little Chris, my oldest son, she said, I think y'all should leave Sunday instead of Monday. And I was like, well, I got to be here because I got to help clean up. I got to be the one to help do, we got to, teamwork, dream work, right? And I didn't listen to number 2. Do it, clean it up Monday, get up, start helping clean up. Explosion. From my hand all the way up to all the way here, you've seen white meat. And the answer say, you gonna learn. I heard that clear as day when I got down and I brushed myself on. It was like, Baba, your arm. I heard clear as day, you gonna learn.
Wow.
And I looked at my son. I said, get your stuff, get in the truck, let's go. I drove from Florida all the way to Charlotte, arm on fire. They was like, let us do something. I got to go. Cause I heard the spirit tell me first, the fact that they didn't listen to or giving them warning or heeding, that right there lets you know you got to move. Because if what you sharing based off of what they say that you are here to do, as you having this, I guess, this priesthood, whatnot, if they're not listening to what is taking place off of this is supposed to protect everybody, not just me. I'm giving warning for everybody. That was your number one warning. Then your wife, your significant other, who, as the woman, is already a divine spiritual being already. She sees, knows, hears everything. You ignore that too. Oh, okay, I got to burn you because you got to learn one way or the other.
Literally.
And how I knew it was spirit that said you need to move quick. Because when I got here, the sister did, I'm doing Reiki on my arm. You don't see not one scar. When I went to the hospital, they said we may have to pull a little skin from your buttocks and stuff. Wow. And I was like, nah, listen, man, that's too much. But just by her doing that and no scar, I said, wow, that was spirit's way of telling me it's done. The only way I can get you from what you're doing and what you've been doing before is it's gonna be a hard lesson. But you'll be all right. Because I ain't gonna put no more than you can bear. You're gonna be all right. You're gonna be good. And so navigating that, it had me back at a place to where I didn't truly trust again in spiritual settings, because I'm like, well, if they ain't want to listen to what I had to share, then me and my family just, what I know right now, we just do what we do at home, and that's it. I don't need to be a part of no elay, no nothing, none of these type of things. So I just did things from a distance, because I went back into that fear, not fear, but that place of, dang, here they go, let me down again. As if I felt when I first was in church of being let down. I had that whole sense of feeling coming back on me that I'm letting God down again, because, I'm not doing this no more. But I had to get away because, things was so much confusion. And then I had to go through another healing journey again, because that's when I was introduced to therapy. And through therapy, I understood, witnessed that I didn't really truly heal trauma of my childhood. So then that brought out another piece of me that had to die. And the whole fact of why you think that you got to give so many people so much loyalty as you do. Why do you think you owe people this much? The way you're going to ignore the advice of spirit, the woman that you talk to every day, to satisfy other people who ain't paying you no attention. Why you got to please people so? And I had to learn that process. And I think once I learned that and was able to then recognize that part of myself is when I then was introduced through my baby girl, Iyalode Yeyefini. And she said, I don't know who child this is outside, but I want to meet their parents, because this is little girl out here. I need to meet who her parents are. And we met each other from there.
Wow.
And through that, the different systems and things she have in there to help you strip even more ego, even more trauma, to recognize that inner child and stuff. It started helping me to grow and become better. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm good here. And so it was just journaling or just going through the woven of place to just say, at the end of the day, what trauma is really called? What are you dealing with? And through my life, allowing me to have to cut off those things that no longer serve me, or those things that's not serving my higher good, to recognize when it is showing up, and when it shows up, to just be like, give myself grace when it does show up, to be like, okay, Pete, wait a minute now, I know what this is. Give myself a minute, and then move. And then through that, it just helped me elevate now, because through that came the initiation to Oshun. So it was like, when you show yourself at another higher degree, or you align yourself to a frequency, then that's when change begins. So I just say it's levels of me navigating through the Elay to temples and stuff like that, to where it said, don't run to another one to try to fix what happened. Because you know what happens when you do stuff like that. Even you see in this culture, people be like, such did A, B, C, D to me, and they ain't doing nothing wrong. No, they did wonderful work. They're great when it comes to what the stuff that they do, but there was a season for what it is that my ancestors had for me at that time. They served that. They introduced me to this walk in this journey, and how I should go forward and honoring, venerating, and doing these things on a spiritual level, to where I want to go, or what I got in store for you, my child, you're going to have to level up a little bit more. And you got to release some of this trauma, because you don't know it, but you cohabiting with what feels familiar.
That's good.
Nah, get out that shell. You got to break that. And I think through that, of being honest and real with myself, is that, and then listening more so to my wife when she said, I don't think this working out no more for us. Okay, well, we need we know divination is a place, so divine on it. Okay, this time, okay, all right. Yeah,
that's good. So you have navigated through various communities by learning to be even more discerning, by learning to listen to your first mind.
Yes.
By also excavating wounds that are connected to trauma. As a Black man who decided to go to therapy, how did you have any type of stigmas that were connected to going to therapy? Was it easy for you to get there? How was that experience for you?
It was easy for me to get there, but when I got there, I hated it. I hated it. Because I'm like, God, dog, it was like stuff that as a young man, or things from my childhood that I locked up and did not want to speak on again or bring out. It was like, how did you get the key to unlock this box? Because I did not want this to be expressed again. I don't want to speak on this again. You know? So it was just brought up so much stuff that I'm like, God, I'm good with just keeping it locked up and tucked away. I don't have to, I know it's there. I don't want to bring it out and, let it linger, but why are you touching this? And that, oh man, I was the most angriest person at that time through therapy, because it was like, why we touching this? That was my whole ideal of, I don't understand why you want to be asking me this question to bring up this type of thing. Like, why? Because I'm thinking I'm clear of it, but I'm not. It just right now, it just feels real good until the moment presents itself, and then it'd be like, oh, there it is. And so I was real angry through therapy. And my whole thing growing up, I used to be like, I could be your friend or your enemy. Gotcha. And through that, it was like, oh, you trying to bring out another ugly side of me. And I'm like, I want to stay good, because good is the light. And then now I know that you must have both light and darkness. That's a balance. Like, you must recognize that shadow self, and you must recognize that's part of you that's elevating and doing those things, but those two coexist, and that's who you are. And going through that therapy session and learning that, and now I think I'm better off where, like I said, if something trigger, I'm not so quick to be like, I'm just more like, I see what that is. Okay, you all right? Like, you need to go sit and meditate real quick. You need to give yourself a little head feeding. Like, you need to what's going on? Like, you need to call somebody to talk this thing out. Like, what's happening here? presenting itself because there's something that's triggering you, and you need to go ahead and give yourself grace. Because I have to learn that about myself. I need to, as a black man, I feel like I have to go, 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 go. I got to do. Is that I don't give myself grace. What I didn't give myself grace, I now do give myself grace in type of things. You know, with my father, my anger towards what my mom was going through. You know, I don't know the whole story because, you know, but I had this anger towards him because I just seen how my mama was growing up, like those type of things that still I tucked off and thinking they was gone. But the older I got, then having children, and then they saying, let me pull that little card real quick because I see your slippers, sir. I'm gonna just pluck on that string right there and let me see what that do to you. You know, those type of things was just helping me become a better man, human, person, however you want to call it. It's just those type of things, and therapy helped get me on that upper going. Somebody was able to talk me through it they ain't know me from the man in the moon. And so they was like, no judgment was there. It was just like, you know, if you need to swing it out, cry it out, do what you need to do. So therapy was a tough one, but I made it through. So glad I made it.
Thank you for being transparent and vulnerable and naming that you didn't like it. It didn't feel good. I don't think it ever feels good to go through the process, and healing is always worth it, right?
Yeah.
Always worth it. And you mentioned some things at the end. You mentioned head feelings. You mentioned a lot of stuff that I'm gonna have you back, Baba. You coming back.
Okay.
Coming back, and she said yes. So my final question is this: is as the show is named KYNDversation, and KYND stands for knowing yourself in need of devotion. What does devotion mean to you?
Whew. It means so much to me. Devotion, one to me, is reverencing or honoring myself when I wake up. Devotion to me is the memory of Bethlehem #1 Missionary Baptist Church, of hearing the footsteps on that wood and those mothers humming and shouting and laying hand. It's those memories. That's to be able to call elders who can support and help me in the times when I'm needing those things and can love on me. It's my family. It's the ringing of the bell of honoring to awaken the person inside me, the Oshun in me, the essence, the things that manifest into this world. That's devotion to me. Those things bring me peace, is devotion for me. Hope that makes resonance.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. All that you named, and I love that you started with honoring yourself when you get up, because honor yourself is to honor God. I love that, and the church mothers. That's that hits for me.
It hits so. I don't know what it. I used to always have a dream of me walking down this dirt road, going into this old Southern church with the swinging doors, and when I go through it, I walk to the front. It's nothing but these women wearing white hats, white outfits, and they're young to the oldest on a walking stick. And this was a dream almost every night growing up. And they cover me in a white sheet, and then they take me up from the white sheet, and I walk out the door pretty much naked. And I never, to this moment, you know, I have a real connection to those women. So when I say those women in that hardwood floor, I'm speaking to that dream, because whatever was manifesting in that dream, that always showed me that growing up, I honor those, whoever that could be, the past women of my lineage.
Yes.
That's showing that protection and covering, and saying that I can go into the world free of no materialistic things or nothing, I got to honor that. So
Mm,
yeah.
absolutely. No, that's
Something said
good.
share that dream. Something said just share that. Just never
Yeah,
forget that.
somebody's gonna need that dream.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna need that dream. Somebody's gonna need to be invited into their own remembrance, like you invited me and everybody else who's gonna view into remembrance today. Just in terms of your own journey, which I really appreciate. So people are going to want to find you. With some folks that are dreamers, there's some folks that are seers. They don't know why they seeing what they see, and they need to sit down with you. It's some folks that are interested in ancestral veneration but don't know where to start. So talk to me about where they can find you.
So you can find me on these people's social media. On Instagram, it's PD86, PEDEE86. Shout out to the PD. And on Facebook, Christopher Williams. And Ancestor Veneration 101. If you go to my Instagram, PD86, is a link tree in my bio. You can click on that and you can come join. It's open to anybody. Please come share your thoughts, your experiences, whatever it may be. We meet every first Sunday for community prayer where we get up at 8 a.m. and we just give thanks for the month. We giving thanks for all the good that's coming into the month and just praying for the protection and covering in the month. And then we have what we call the ancestor meetup every second Wednesday, where we just meet up and I'll give some conversation piece and we just as a community reflect and just have a conversation like we had here today and just go in depth and learn more about ourselves and family and so much more. So if I'm open, if you want to just hit me up. I don't, I like I said, I talk to anybody. So just call me or reach out to me through the social media platforms, but I'm open to helping any way I can. And if I can't help you, shout out to my elders. Y'all de ye fina fulade majibona efulayo maxi. The two women. I'm always surrounded around some strong, powerful women. So I must again honor that powerful divine entity. But if I don't know, those elders may know. And if they don't know, they always know somebody that may know. So just in the community to help.
Thank you so much for your time today, Chris. I am so grateful that you said yes to being in conversation, and I look forward to you all tuning in to our next episode on next Wednesday. Peace.
Peace.